Sabres Super Draft. Let's have some fun drafting old players. Joe DiBiase, Lucas Buckley, Joe Marino here on a crossover edition of the Cautiously Optimistic podcast and Locked On Sabres.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's up, everybody? Thanks for making Locked On Sabres and the Cautiously Optimistic podcast your first listen every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on our YouTube channel. Joe DiBiase very excited to be joined by Joe Marino and Lucas Buckley from the Cautiously Optimistic podcast, part of the Charging Buffalo. What's up, guys? Thanks for doing this. I think this will be fun.
Oh, this is right up our alley. I think, Joe, you can attest to this. This will play right into what we do. We have this segment called Guy of the Week.
Yes.
So
yes.
Let's see how many guys pop up that maybe we just talk about. It don't even draft.
That segment was part of the reason I'm like, oh, these guys will love this because they're already kind of doing it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to have some fun today. Sabres Super Draft. We did this a couple years ago during COVID here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We had a 9-month offseason, so we needed content. So, All right, let's draft some players. And you know what? August is the slowest hockey season there is unless the Sabres decide to drop a Rasmus Dahlin bomb any second. Should I check my phone in case they've just done that?
Hey, he's here. He's in town, right? Well, he's in North America at least.
Yes, he's
in
the States.
Okay, yeah. I might have seen
Vancouver.
That from his Instagram.
He's in Vancouver.
That's right. We've got a 20-round draft to go through. We're going to build 3 lineups of former Sabres together. Best team wins. And how will we determine the best team? Well, after the draft is over, and you could chime in as we drop these episodes progressively through on how you think we did, if you think we made a mistake, someone that went too high or too low. Be sure to chime in. I'm at Sneaky Joe Sports on Twitter. Joe is at Joe Marino TCB, and Lucas is on Twitter at Luke TCB. The U though is a V. I get tripped up by that, and I'm still calling it Twitter, not X, by the way. Here on August 10th,
Absolutely.
still calling it Twitter. Yeah. So we're gonna do a 20-round draft. We did random.org before. Joe got the first overall pick. Luke got the second overall pick. I got the third overall pick. Snake draft. So you'll hear me and Luke me and Joe go back to back a lot on today's show. So of course, 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, 2 goaltenders. I guess if you want to play 7D, I'm not going to stop you from doing that, but I'm guessing it'll be somewhere along those lines. And Joe just had a good idea, Joe Marino, right before we got started here. Like, should we draft coaches? And I think, what do we vote? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Do it.
100%.
Okay. I like that. But, okay, if I draft Phil Housley, do I have to make him my coach?
I don't think so.
Okay. So we're splitting them.
Yeah.
Right?
Split them.
It'd be 2 different picks. Okay. I think that's the best way to do it. All right. Well, without further ado, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into our Sabres Super Draft. Again, we'll tweet out the results after. I think we're going to simulate these 2 on the NHL video game, so we could tweet out after the fact if you're interested on whose team actually does the best. But I think the draft itself should be really fun. And first overall goes to our man Joe Marino here with the first pick in the Sabres Super Draft.
Okay, coming into this, I didn't know I had the first overall pick. I came into it with a strategy, but once I found out I had the number 1 pick, kind of have to stray away from that. I'm going to pick goaltender Dominik Hasek.
Oh, all right.
I had a feeling that he was going to be the apple of your guys' eye, so I get to take the best goalie of all time for my Buffalo Sabres Super Draft team. So very excited to have him as my foundational core piece. So Dominik Hasek, welcome to the squad.
You got your franchise there. Hey, listen, the pick is already in here. I think it has to be Gilbert Perreault. You can say what you want about if his skill set, if any guy's skill set from that time could translate to this day and age, but I have the numbers here in front of me. 1,300 points as a Sabre, greatest Sabre of all time. I'm taking him, Gilbert Perreault.
Okay. Exactly how I would have anticipated it. I think Hasek should go number 1. is that a controversial pick? Is it a debatable pick? Like, what percentage of Sabre fans do you think would take Hasek 1? It would be more than 50-50, right?
I think more now because he's one more recent.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 1A, 1B, I think you could say, as the saying goes.
The Boomers would pick Perreault.
Yeah,
younger people pick
that's
Hasek.
right. I think that's right. Listen, Hasek, you can go watch a 10-minute YouTube video of Hasek's best saves, where like Perreault, a little bit like he's kind of mythology almost, right? Like it's not as easy to just go find Gilbert Perreault highlights. Like I can find full games from the 70s and go watch that, but I can't just type in Gilbert Perreault highlights and find a lot. You know, there's something there. But I don't want that to disparage him. I think he's absolutely the right pick.
No, you know, I think any pick that played before there were sponsors on the boards is going to be controversial.
I think I would agree with that. All right, with the final pick of round 1, the 3rd overall pick in this draft, I like Joe had a strategy. It was very dependent though on where I was slotted. If it's 1, I'm picking Hasek. If it's 2, I'm picking Perreault. If it's 3, I feel like I go 4 or 5 different ways here, and it would be acceptable. What I'm going to do, because I see a pretty steep drop-off in goal after this guy, I'm going to do it because of the value, and I'm going to pick Ryan Miller with the 3rd overall pick of this draft. I did this actually a couple years ago when we did this with my former co-host Jordan Hanskin. I'm not trying to tell you I think Ryan Miller's the 3rd best player in Sabre history. I just think there's a lot of good centers and a lot of good wingers, and I'm not ready to pick a defenseman. So for me, it's more about what's after him. So I'm going to pick Miller with the 3rd pick. Is that a crazy pick, though? It sounds crazy.
I don't think so.
That's perfect. I agree with that reasoning. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, with my first pick of round 2, I'm going to take Pat LaFontaine. Give me a number 1 center. I think there are a lot of good centers, but I think LaFontaine is number 2 after Gilbert Perreault. I mean, he's got the record for points in a season. 140 plus points, 50 goals. When he was healthy, his peak was about as high as any Sabre of all time. So I'm going to pick, but he couldn't stay healthy. But for those times that he did, I'm taking Pat LaFontaine. Luke is up for round 2, but unless you have a thought on LaFontaine.
No, I did that year where him and McGillney just dominated. Didn't the Sabres only finish? Like, they were a low seed in the playoffs. They weren't even a dominant team.
I think that's 92-93, if I'm correct. And they lose, unless that's the Mayday season. No, that's the year before. So they lost in the first round in 7 to Boston.
Right. So imagine that. Wow. Yeah. All right. By
the way, I meant to mention this off the top, just for any fan listening out there. They probably would assume this anyway. Any player we pick, it's what they were with the Sabres.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah, if you pick Doug Gilmour, you're not getting, a top-level player, Doug Gilmour from the Leafs. Like, you're getting Doug Gilmour when he was a Sabre.
Right. So, you're getting
good clarification.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I might be tipping my hand here, but I don't think I have any choice. I'm going to go with Rick Martin.
Okay. He's always building the French connection.
That was my plan.
He did.
That was my plan.
You definitely tipped your hand. It's fine. It's fine. But you definitely tipped your hand. Wow, Perreault and Martin. I mean, listen, those Boomers you spoke of. No offense to the Boomers. They're gonna love your team.
They're gonna love me. Oh
yeah. Perreault and Martin, man. 50 goals, right? Like how many? There's not many Sabres that can say they scored 50 goals, but he's one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I got back-to-back here. I got my goalie. Now I'm going to get my defenseman. I'm going to pick Phil Housley, the player, not the coach. Phil Housley.
All right.
Arguably one of, if not the greatest defenseman to ever play for the Sabres.
Mm-hmm.
And now I got my defenseman. I got my goalie. I'm going to get my forward. And I'm going to pick Alexander Mogilny.
I was hoping I could get one of the two. McGillney and Housley. So you've got, this is a well-balanced team Joe's building here. He's got the best goaltender. He's got the best goal scorer, right? Best pure goal scorer. And he's got probably the best defenseman. I don't know if I like this. I think Joe's off to a hot run here.
Oh, he's outplayed us all so far.
Yeah.
I came prepared, folks.
Yeah. Although,
yes.
Luke, we might have him beat at center. I don't know where he's going to end up. I mean, there's a lot of good centers.
That's
so
true.
He'll probably be fine.
Oh.
All right, Luke, you're up for your third pick of round 2. Luke so far, Gilbert Perreault, Rick Martin. He left you, right? Like, how could you not? But let's see if Luke does it.
We're completing the tic-tac-toe here. The French connection is on my team. Rene Robert.
Wow, he'd be when we play this NHL video game, or if I simulate it, I'll have to make sure their chemistry is at a 100.
See, yeah, you're gonna have to download a roster where they're all 95 overalls.
Yeah. I do have a roster ready to go on that front. I think they were all like 95 plus, if I remember correct. Perreault like 98, maybe 97. Okay, so I have so far Pat LaFontaine and Ryan Miller with my first 2 picks. Now that I'm on the clock for my next pick, I don't want to get sucked in on the value point all the time, because then I feel like I'm just not picking the most talented players. So I'm just gonna go for talent here. I'll get back to value. I just give me the best hockey players on the board, and I think the best hockey player left on the board is Dave Andreychuk.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna pair him with LaFontaine. I mean, they would have played together for at least a little bit. And Andreychuk, like, sure, like kids our age, like guys our age, will probably remember him more for Tampa at the end. Although he did have that 1 second stint season with the Sabres, but listen to some of these stats. 36 goals, 38 goals, 31 goals, 25-30, 28-42, 36-41. That's a Sabre career. Like 54, I missed at the end there. Like every year, the guy was scoring a ton of goals on this hockey team. And I want him as my number 1 winger. So I'm picking Dave Andreychuk.
Yeah,
pick of third round.
I remember he had an extremely deep voice because I had the 04 Lightning Stanley Cup DVD, and he talked because he's the captain.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I feel no, I can't go.
Well, hold on. I've got another pick here.
Got another pick,
oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh, I should have let him go on. I would have heard
It
him
wouldn't have
wanted.
been good. Wouldn't have been good.
Yeah. Well, before I make my round 4 selection, we are through 3 rounds of the Locked On Sabres podcast. We'll take a quick brief moment because I gotta let you know who sponsors the show here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, and we are presented by AG1. The number one thing that you need to know about AG1 is it is the right way to start your morning every day. I do it every morning to get those vitamins and minerals. For me, it's the easiest way to do it because if I wake up a little bit early and I got enough time, I'll make the shake. It's 1 scoop of the powder in a cup of water. You shake it up and it tastes great. Or if I'm running a little bit late, little droplets, you drop 1 drop of all those good vitamins and minerals into your water or your coffee, and you won't even notice that it's there. Won't change the taste at all. AG1, 750 vitamins and minerals. I've been drinking AG1. I've noticed an overall feeling of health as I've been doing it. 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, I should say. And right now, if a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then you could try AG1, and they're going to give you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D. And for on the go, 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Just go to drinkag1.com/NHL Network. That's drinkag1.com/NHL Network. Check it out, AG1. Sneaky Joe DiBiase, Joe Marino, and Luke Buckley here on the Locked On Sabres podcast and the Cautiously Optimistic podcast. Crossover for a fun exercise. Sabre content in August. You can't beat it. So far in our draft, Joe had the first overall pick. He selected Dominik Hasek, followed it up with Phil Housley, and then Alexander McGillney. Luke, Gilbert Perreault, Rick Martin, Rene Robert. I mean, they're all in the rafters. So it's a hell of a start for him, too. And so far, I've gone Ryan Miller, Pat LaFontaine, and Dave Andreychuk. I am back on the clock for the first pick of round 4. And I'm going to go for my value selection. Housley's off the board. I'll be honest, there's not a lot of great defensemen in Sabre history, right? Like, there really isn't. So I'm going to pick a guy that his career is very early on still, but I hazard to say he already has seen a level of play that maybe only Housley has ever topped for a defenseman in Sabre history. So I'm just going to pick Rasmus Dahlin. I'm going to pick Rasmus Dahlin with the first pick of round 4.
I typed that in before you even said it.
Oh, is that who you're leaning into?
No, I typed it in.
Oh,
on your
then
little,
I was gonna pick.
I'm keeping track here on my Google Doc.
I see.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm picking Dahlin. I know he's only 23 years old, but like 73 points last year, one of the 5 best defensemen in hockey. Like, how many Sabre defensemen have had a season where they were one of the best 5 defensemen? Like, it just doesn't really happen.
I'm with you there, and you know what? Yeah, just now. I am on the clock. I'm not making a mistake.
You are on the clock.
All right, I'm with you there. Not a whole lot of great defensemen. I'm going to go for it. I'm taking Brian Campbell.
I thought about Campbell. Okay.
Offensive defenseman, puck mover, and he can lay the body in. We know that.
We definitely know that. Was he on your radar, Joe? Were you thinking about Campbell?
I wasn't thinking about him this early, but I'm going to complete my top line here with my next pick. My starting first line right winger, Danny Gare. Danny Gare.
Okay.
And then to complete the top line with my next pick, I'm going to select Pierre Turgeon as my #1 center.
You're a big Turgeon fan.
Yeah, love Pierre.
Hall of Famer Pierre Turgeon now.
Yes.
Yeah. Man.
That's your all right. So your top line is going to be Turgeon, Gare, and McGillney.
Yes.
This is where, like, they've had good forwards forever. Like, that's Joe waited on forward. It really is the way to maybe do this draft with former Sabres. There's so many good forwards that, like, you wait on it, you end up, Turgeon, Gare, and McGillney. And you've got a Hall of Famer, a guy in the rafters, and another guy that should be in the Hall of Fame. He scored 76 goals.
Very happy with how the team is shaking out so far.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so Pierre Turgeon is the first pick of round 5. Luke is next on the clock for his 5th round pick. His team so far, Brian Campbell and the French Connection.
Listen, I think I got to do it. Not only is he my favorite Sabre of all time, but we're going to keep adding to the center depth here. We're going Danny Briere.
Took my next pick.
I think he was the best center on the board. Yep. Danny Briere. Will he be your captain?
Ooh. We'll see how it plays out, because
there's captain potential down the road.
There's captain potential, yes. But man, Perreault has a good argument just because of his tenure. 16 years, hard to argue with that.
Yes, I would agree.
Maybe we'll do the co-captain thing.
Yeah, you
rotate every month.
Oh, did Luke just tip his hand again? For who he might have his eye on a little bit later on?
No, not necessarily.
We'll have to see on that front.
We'll see.
So far, I've got 2/3 of a top line. I've got a defenseman. I've got my goaltender. I wonder how quick the scorers are going to go here. I mean, the wingers are going. McGillney's off the board. Martin's off the board. Robert's off the board. Andrechuk, Gare. How thin will it get? I'm afraid of you two doing this like 4 picks in a row. So I'm going to pick a forward. Even though I think there are like 4 or 5 guys all in the same tier, I'm going to pick one of them here to ensure I get one of them. So I'm strange that I'm finding myself, going this modern this early. I thought I'd be picking old guys, but I'm going to pick Thomas Vanek. I'm going to pick Thomas Vanek. He's 5th in Sabre history in points. Like, the guy was great for a really long time, 40-plus goals. Give me a little of that 06-07 swagger on my team. Put him with LaFontaine on the left side with Andrechuk, or put him on his off wing, actually, because I think Andrechuk might be a left winger. I usually don't care about the handness when it comes to wingers, so I'm going to pick Thomas Vanek.
That was my next guy.
I always think of the 2010, the first playoff goal against the Bruins. That's my iconic Vanek goal.
Or Boychuk destroyed his leg for the rest of the series.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that.
Never forget.
Yeah, Derek Roy returned in that game too, I think. Or it might have been later in the series. I don't know.
That might have been the next year. Right?
Oh,
he tore his ACL, but I think he came back for Game 7. But no one remembers that because we don't want to remember that game because they got slaughtered.
Yes.
But anyways. Okay, so I went with... How am I already forgetting my picks? I think I forgot to write one of them down. Who did I go with the end of round 5?
Vanek.
Vanek, yes. And did we skip me again?
I don't think you went. I don't think you went back to back.
That's what happened. That's right. I just got mixed up. Okay, so Luke took.
I took Danny Briere.
Yes, and then I took Vanek. Okay, right. Oh, we were still talking about Vanek. That's why I got confused. We're good. We're all good. I'm on the clock again, And I'm going back to the blue line, and I'm going to take Mike Ramsey. I think one of the more underrated, underappreciated Sabres in history. Maybe, honestly, like, nowadays, he might be more remembered for just being on the Miracle on Ice team. But the guy played 1,000,000 games for the Sabres. Great defensive defenseman. Had a super lengthy career. He was good the whole time. Not flashy at all. But I got Dahlin to be flashy. He played 911 games for the Sabres. And played 18 years in the NHL. I think Ramsey is going to be the perfect, a little upgraded version of Matthias Samuelsson to play with Rasmus Dahlin.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like
now
that.
Luke is up.
Now it's my turn.
Yes.
Man, I feel like just because there's not that many, like, I got to keep pushing this defenseman thing down the... I got to keep pushing that can down the road. Let's go... We're going to keep going scores. Let's go Miro Shatan.
Oh, he was one of the forwards I was thinking about.
Polarizing, but he was the only goal scorer really on that Cup team. So,
all right, he was almost the best offensive player and a Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah,
almost.
7 years here too.
Yeah, that actually is longer than I thought. Right, he played the year before the lockout. So Shatan.
That's right. He even wore the blue and gold, I think, too.
Right, so he'll play. That's your second line. You've got Briere and Shatan going.
Briere and Shatan.
Wow, Luke's gonna be trying to win 6-5.
Yeah, I know.
Which maybe Don Granato is the right coach for you.
Oh, perhaps.
Joe is on the clock for his third pick of round 6 so far. Joe is looking at Pierre Turgeon, Danny Gare, Alex McGillney, Phil Housley, and Dominik Hasek.
Okay, you win down the middle, and with my back-to-back picks here, I'm gonna pick Dale Hawerchuk and Michael Pekka.
Okay.
Oh my.
Can't complain. I feel like having those 3 centers, I don't think anyone else is going to top that. So,
yeah, I think you're probably right in terms of the depth, especially. I mean, Pekka, Pekka's going to be your third line center. Like he's the Penguins that won the Cup with Jordan Staal as their third line center. That's actually maybe even better than that. So Pekka, I mean, actually, you know what? Best possible third line center in Sabre history. Like Pekka just kind of seems like a third line center, even though he was, even better than that. All right, Pekka and Hawerchuk. Joe's loading up down the middle, and now Luke is back on the clock for his second pick of round 7.
Okay, I do need a defenseman, and this is a bit of a vanity pick for me because I've been thinking about him in the whole lead up to this. I'm taking defenseman Jason Woolley. Way off the board. But
yikes.
He had an overtime winner in the Stanley Cup final. So the shot heard around the world.
Wow, Jason Woolley.
Woolley.
I mean, Alexei Zhitnik tearing up the locker room or in the green room behind the what? I'm not saying it's that bad. Woolley, what is it? 43 points. We're talking like pretty solid numbers every year that he was here. Wow, Jason Woolley is the pick. Okay. Was not ready for that.
I'm a fan of him. I don't know. I've always liked the name.
Yeah. He's a good Twitter follower, too. Twitter follow, I should say. Okay, I'm next on the clock. And the wingers that I was expecting to go, I mean, only one of them really went. So I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to go back to center because I feel like we're running out. Now that Hawerchuk's gone, and Pekka is gone, and Briere and Turgeon, I'm going to go and pick Chris Drury as my next selection. I'm going to get that leadership. I'm going to get those intangibles. He scores big goals, puts up numbers. He's going to be my second-line center behind Pat LaFontaine as I build a little Team USA here.
I like it. I'm surprised he slipped this far.
And I think
the leadership alone.
Air eye. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Someone's got to do it. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it. I don't care. Team USA down the middle. I think he's the most talented player left on the clock. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to pick Jack Eichel.
Oh,
I was wondering when he was going to go.
Yeah, me too. All right,
the first pick of round 8, He's going to be, maybe I'll bump Drury down to third line center, or I'll have 2 second lines, and I'll have Eichel mix in there. I mean, he's going to score on the power play for me, right? Like, he put up giant numbers. You know, it's not the right time to get Twitter votes if I'm going to put Eichel on my team. But I think he's the most talented player left on the board. So I'm just gonna do it. Jack Eichel. How long until you two would have done that?
I was thinking about it for the next one.
So you're getting
I was
a little
thinking
closer
about it.
Eventually, yeah, he was one of the top names that I was thinking of in the lead up to this. Okay. So, yeah,
he goes round 8. Which means
round
Luke's
8,
on the clock for his second pick of round 2. He's sitting on Jason Woolley, Miro Chatan, Danny Briere, Brian Campbell, and the French Connection. Pretty solid so far.
All right, you know what, Joe? I'm thanking you for this. Zhitnik, fine. Let's take care of it. Let's take him right off.
Zhitnik. Love Zhitnik. Really building a late 90s squad there.
That's right. That's right. We can really, we can throw some hip checks. We can throw some body checks in open ice. We have guys that can score clutch goals on defense. Yeah.
Do you want to guess where Zhitnik ranks all-time points for a Sabre defenseman?
Oh, God.
All-time points for
I'm going to guess like
defenseman.
Second or third.
Top 5.
Yes, third.
Zhitnik ranks number 3.
Wow.
Only Mike Ramsey, who played 1 million games, which is part of the reason he's there, and then Housley. That's it.
289 points in 712 games.
Yep. I mean, he played 712 games. Actually, you know what? I really should have done here. Where does 712 games rank all time for games played for them?
Oh yeah, hey, I could
top 10. It's 9th.
Wow,
that's wild. That's 9th all time in games played for the Sabres.
And
although Zemgus Girgenssen's fast approaching, I must say.
Yeah, man, Zhitnik, that's an kind of under the radar guy. I feel like to be top 10.
Massive slap shot. Massive slap shot.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, next on the clock, Joe is back up. He has a great center core building here with Pekka, Howardchuk, and Turgeon, super deep. And then, of course, he's got Danny Gare, Alex McGillney, Phil Housley, and Dominik Hasek.
My next pick, I'm going to pick Mike Foligno.
Oh,
okay.
Nice, okay.
Yep.
And
I'd nod on that.
It is very slim pickings at right-handed defenseman, so I'm going to pick John Van Boxmeer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. The 80s.
It's a good name.
The 80s, who are like a forgotten decade for the Sabres, but there were some good players in there. Those are 2 of them. John Van Boxmeer. What a name, by the way. Like one of the best names in Sabre history, John Van Boxmeer.
Yes.
And he had a couple seasons with over 60 points, I think, right? Yeah, 69 and 68 points back-to-back in 81 and 82 for Van Boxmeer. So, very solid pick. And, right, blue line's getting to be slim pickings already, so it's about as good as you're going to do. All right, Luke back up for a second pick of round 9. We're going to go through 10 rounds on today's show.
Oh, man. All right, round 9. You know what? I'm going to take my goalie. I'm going to go with Tom Barrasso.
Okay. Over Marty Baron?
Yeah,
over I mean, wait, no, you know what? That's not crazy. He won the Vezina. Right, as an 18-year-old.
And you know, I was not too keen on Baron's play.
I like how you you really wanted to lean away from the mic into that one, which I understand.
Yeah, I just want to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, Barrasso, 18-year-old out of high school, won the Vezina and the Calder in the same year.
Polarizing personality, volatile, if you will. Apparently,
is that right? I don't think I knew that about him.
Yeah, very contentious with the media, teammates also. I didn't know about this till like a few months ago, but yeah, he was pretty abrasive.
Okay. All right, Tom Barrasso is the goaltender for Luke, which means we have our 3 goaltenders. I mean, we can pick backups a little bit later on, but Ryan Miller, Dominik Hasek, and Tom Barrasso are the top 3 picks off the board, which means I am back up for the 3rd pick of round 9, so I'll make my final 2 selections here, and at least for today's show, I should say. All right, I'm going to go... I feel I'm good on center. I don't need a 4th-line center right now. I'm sitting on what at defense? I mean, I've got Dahlin and I've got Mike Ramsey. So I probably should start building out that second pair, and I think I'm going to do that. And I'll go old school again. I'm going to pick Jim Schoenfeld as my next selection. The guy put someone through a Zamboni door.
Yes. He made an album.
No. Yeah, listen, you're not sitting in front of my net. I know that. Because I'm going to send Schoenfeld out there after you. And I could make him the coach, too, by the way. He did have a brief coach stint for the Sabres.
Yes.
Third in the Norris voting in 1980. And he didn't put up big numbers. So as someone that did not watch Jim Schoenfeld play, I'm going to connect dots. He finished third in Norris voting in 1980 with only 36 points. I'm going to assume that means he was amazing in his own end. Okay? So with that, I'm going to pick Schoenfeld as my my second pair defenseman. And then I'm going to pick Jason Pominville.
Okay.
My next pick.
Okay.
Pairing with Vanek, maybe on the same line. Maybe I'll mix stuff up a little bit. I got a bunch of 05, 06 going on my team right now. But I got the shot. I got the all-around play defensively. I've got, him in the shootout, too, even if I need it. Love Pominville. How can you not love Jason Pominville?
All right, so is this round 10 now?
Round 10. So final pick of this episode, and then we'll continue on with our next 10 selections in our next show here.
I'm going to end it with a bang. You know what? It's been 2.5 seasons of great production. I'm taking Tage Thompson off the board.
Ooh,
I got to do it. I got to do it.
Joe reacted as though he wanted Tage. I think.
I wasn't planning on it within the next couple picks, but I thought he was going to slide down the board a little more for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, he does not. Tage to Luke. And where are you going to play him? Is that going to be second line center? Is it going to be moving him to the wing? I mean, it's your team. You can do whatever you want with it. You play it at goal for all I care.
I'm thinking third line center, but there's room for him to move around there with Briere. There could be some line shifting.
All right, Briere and Tage together. Oh, I just got chills. But anyways, Tage Thompson is the final pick for Lucas of this episode in round 10. So Luke, you finish us off with your final pick of today and the third pick of round 10. It will be?
Oh, sorry, that's me, right?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. With my final pick in round 10, I'm surprised he's still available. Played forever. Longtime Buffalo Sabre, over 1,000 games. 4th all-time in points. I'm going to pick Craig Ramsey.
Yeah. Okay. Underrated, I would say.
Yeah.
For sure. Craig Ramsey. I think I've got Paul Hamilton's voice in my head that this is one of the greatest two-way players in Sabre history.
Yeah, I'm slotting him in on the third line right next to Michael Pekka.
Oh, man, that's the shutdown line is already building. Ramsey, by the way, I'm trying to find this. Is he the only Selke winner in Sabre history? He's got to be, right? Did Pekka win it?
I think Pekka won it, yeah.
Yeah.
So Joe's got all the Selke on our draft here. Ramsey, by the way, won the Selke in his final season in the NHL. He went... I didn't know this about him, but looking at his hockey reference page, from 1978 on, this is where he finished in Selke voting. Second, third, second, third, 7th, 5th, 1st. Every year, he was in the Selke conversation. And he won it at least once. All right, so that's going to wrap up today's episode. But just to recap where we ended up, Joe, how do you feel about your team? You've got Hasek, you've got Housley, McGillney, Pierre Turgeon, Dale Hawerchuk, Michael Pekka, Mike Foligno, John Van Boxmeer, and Craig Ramsey. How do you feel? Did the first 10 rounds go the way you thought they would?
I was really hoping I would get Thomas Vanek to be my second line winger, kind of add some goals, but, I'm pretty happy overall.
Luke, how about for you? I mean, you got the French connection. I mean, you can't be too that upset, I think.
I already have 3 banners in the rafters. I'm feeling very good. Lots of skill, lots of scoring. Got some grit and jam, if you will, on the defense. Only regret is I would have given up the French connection to have Dominik Hasek.
Yeah. Oh, you could offer him all 3.
Okay.
I don't. We didn't really say trades were allowed, but I'm not going to stop you if you want to trade all 3 of them. All right, that's going to do it for us today here on this combo episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast and Cautiously Optimistic podcast. Joe DiBiase, Luke Buckley, Joe Marino. So come back next time. We'll have our second half of our draft. We'll round out the teams. We'll look at how we did, and then we'll put it to you, the listeners, for how we did, whose team you like the most. We'll have a Twitter vote up, and then we'll simulate the games on NHL as well. So come back next time here on the Locked On Sabres podcast and the Cautiously Optimistic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.